All right, good evening, everyone. This is Daniel from TradeCraft 360 and following up on my Tesla trade. So I put this trade on last week, and the idea there was to take advantage of the pretty crazy premiums in Tesla. And this was for this week, so this Friday, December 20th expiration, and this was the 495 call. Obviously, Tesla is nowhere near 495 at this moment, but I will say earlier in the week it certainly had my attention. It had a near touch of the strike, the 495 call, and I it had my attention, but I wasn't going to get too panicked by it. I thought that I might have to, either buy a protective call or sell an in the money put. What I mean by that is if you were to get called away and at the 495 strike, if Tesla is around 495 or 500 or 510, you would be selling maybe the 510 put, the 520 put, using the extrinsic to lower your cost basis and, in the sense that if it's so extended from its moving averages, you would anticipate at least a pullback and some consolidation. That's one way of approaching it. Or if you were so inclined, extend a short on Tesla, purchase, whatever it's trading at, whether it be like 500 or 510 or whatever, you purchase a call going out a period of time with the idea of that, because it's so extended from its moving averages, that a pullback or a snapback is likely, and then you would just close out the position and move on from it. Those were sort of what was going on in the back of my head. But I don't really like to do that so early on. I like to see how things are going to evolve. So obviously, if you had moved on this early on in the week, then you would be going, like, let's say, for instance, you were so afraid that when Tesla was trading for 485 that it was going to breach your strike that you bought in. That's trouble, right? Look where we are now. So there's always that chance of a reversal. So perhaps I could have chosen my trade location a little bit better, but all is well that ends well for this particular position. So I elected to close it out, not on the Friday, but a little bit earlier for 70 cents. And the reason I did that was because certainly the wild price action, after the Fed meeting and into Thursday and even today, has definitely had my attention and focus. So I have, obviously, as you can see here, transact with some fairly large position sizes that demand my attention. So, as far as Tesla was concerned, I decided to close it out early, book the profit, not have to worry about it in case, like on today, Friday, which was a big move higher, Tesla decided it would, go up another 10% in a single day. It didn't. It was one of the weaker names, but there's no way of foreseeing that. It could just as easily have gone up. I tend not to prognosticate too hard in the market. It's a little bit tricky. Certainly the sell-off in TLT and the breakout on TNX, like that's the 10-year and TLT being the long bond, it had my attention. I was paying attention to it, and it was flashing some red signals. But the catalyst, after the Fed meeting, did I pick up on that? Yeah, and to the extent that I had some call positions on the QQQs that I was getting very nervous about, and decided to close out one of my call positions, and I think that actually saved me about 40,000 US. Yeah, that's right. So it's sometimes it's when you look at things and you say, okay, well, why isn't this trade working itself out? What is going on? Am I missing something? Sometimes it's helpful to mitigate risk and just look at things from a probabilistic standpoint. I am not much of a prognosticator in the market. I just look at setups that I think that are favorable, either from a structural standpoint, like the options market favors it, or from a technical standpoint. Certain setups will attract my attention, and certainly other traders will post their setups as well. I like to pay attention to what other smart individuals are doing, and I'll trade the way that I want to. So I can't throw lines on a graph and if this then that, if that then this. It's not really how I operate, and I never found it too helpful for me personally. So I am an active trader, but it's more of a managing certain positions, using more of a probabilistic standpoint. If the market is up big time, like for instance today, on Monday, I mean, you could have sold the 534 call on the QQQ and gotten, or 533, 532, 534 call going out one day. That's a 0 date to expiration option. You can actually get some healthy amount of premium. Now, that's not a technical way of approaching the market. That is a volatility options premium way of looking at it, and to the sense that what's the probability that you think it's going to get to 432 on Monday? Well, we'd have to have another major gap and go. I don't know if that's necessarily likely. I think that maybe the more likely scenario is that maybe we consolidate around these levels, and maybe we move higher into the Christmas rally. That's probably my base case. I don't necessarily think that the whole market will unwind, although we have to remember August. Now, how many of us saw what was going on in August, right? That was a pretty aggressive, accelerated move to the downside. So, in terms of like looking at the market, I tend to just look at it as it comes, and I'll make judgments based on what I see, right? So, but that is very much in the moment. That's sort of like, asking somebody, what's the weather, right? And they look outside and they tell you it's sunny or it's raining or it's snowing. That's useful, but and you can actually trade off that, right? It's very local. If you can get a good sense of what's in front of you and just take to each day as it comes and make those types of trades that are favorable from a risk reward standpoint, from a probabilistic standpoint, from an option standpoint, you can trade the market that way, which is usually what I do. I tend not to throw charts in front of myself and draw a bunch of million different lines. It never really was too helpful for me. And then also just building strategies that are replicable, for you as the trader, right? So not every trader is going to do things similarly. You're going to develop your own strategies, things that you like to do, things that you're quite good at, things that you can repeat, and then you go from there. So, was this trade the best? No, I'm going to say that if I could do it all over again, even though I did make money, I probably wouldn't have done it, only because it exposed me to some upside risk that it didn't take long. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday, we almost had a near touch of the strike, and I was hoping that would occur Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it put me in a position where things were a little outside my control, and that was just 1 week. Imagine if you had put on such a trade 8 weeks ago on Tesla, and then let's say you thought that you would have had to have, if you thought that, let's say you want to collect any amount of premium and you want to go out 8 weeks, and you thought 400, 410, how much was that? How much would that have been trading for 8 weeks ago? Pennies, right? Now look at the situation that you'd be in. All right, so, and there'd be, if you sold it at the end of January, there'd be now an entire month where, what do you do, right? Do you buy in? Because now the market's getting a little bit squirrely. right? Do we have a correction? Do we, float around into the Christmas rally, or maybe not, maybe consolidate and then we gap down in the new year? Yeah, we've seen that before, right? And I think in 2018, there was no rally whatsoever. There was actually a pretty nasty sell-off in 2018. So it puts you in a difficult situation, which is why my preference is to use the near dated options and manage those positions. So, and so it almost looks as though Tesla needs 0 date to expiration options as opposed to weeklies. That would be nice. That would be very helpful, because then you can, in certain days, certain trends will take place, and they just, those patterns or those trends will sort of play out, and you can make your moves accordingly. Whereas if you go out just about a day or 2 or 3 or even a week, things can change, and they can change quickly. So do I think that Tesla is a buy now? I think some consolidation, maybe some price action that'd be lower, maybe every test to 400 or below. I don't know the key levels. I'd have to take a look. It's always helpful to take a look at the moving averages to see where, in theory, some support might manifest itself. However, if there is a significant sell-off in Tesla, yeah, absolutely. I think that this would be if there was a real move lower and it was in sympathy with the broader markets, or even just a lot of sector rotation, Tesla taking a breather and selling off, then that might be worth a very close look to tool up and make a trade out of it, and go long and maybe extend that to a couple weeks, right? You would buy Tesla, buy the put, start selling the weeklies, or buy a call, whatever you prefer, and go from there. So anyways, I won't belabor the point, but I thought I would just wrap up that little trade, and not a huge winner, but I think that it worked out in the end, and I'll set up for next week. I think I actually might sell another 20 contracts into the week of the January 3rd. So let's say that if Tesla is going to be sort of consolidating around these levels, or maybe there's some weakness, then sure, yeah, you could actually, I was looking at the price action, or I should say the some options for next week or the week after Friday, and you could sell the 550 call for another for another $1.50, right? Another 3,000. So I mean, that's a pretty monstrous move. I mean, like, geez, like from where it's trading now, I think it's like 420 in the after hours to all the way back up to 550. Not impossible. So I don't know if I really want to go out 2 weeks, just because then again you're exposed to you've lost a little bit of control on the position, but maybe the trend has been blunted for now and might be worth a look. So I will take a look at the price action. Maybe I can get away with something towards December 27th as opposed to the week following, and go from there. So anyways, I hope everyone is going to have a great weekend, and I will detail a few new trades that I put on. I shorted natural gas again. Yep, that's right. So I will detail that, and we'll take it from there. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.